Hello and good evening. My name is John. We're here playing Elisa the Innkeeper. It's part of my Steam cleaning series where I go through every game in my Steam library, eventually then arbitrarily rate them after a wee bit of playtime. I don't quite know what this game is, but based on what they are showing here, this is a visual novel. So we're going to jump in together and find out. This short visual novel can be considered a little introductory episode to the game Elisa the Innkeeper. Enjoy our art and soundtrack and begin to shape Elisa's destiny. Whoa, thanks, Clint. Oh, this is a demo. Oh, I didn't know that was a demo. This did not express the fact this was a demo. This is the prequel. Interesting. All right, well, I guess this was free, so, you know, keep that in mind when debating value and propositions, stuff like that. So here we go. The inn was warm and hearty. I clicked too much. Log. The inn was warm and hearty. The construction was solid, whilst an aroma of strong oak and the faint fragment of flowers filled the entire first floor. Elisa, the innkeeper, was running laps around the bar, serving her various and sundry customers, none of which is shown here. Okay. A prince approached. Okay, just does that. Found an open stool right there and took a seat where he could catch the gaze of the busy innkeeper. This is not a busy innkeeper. So this is in quotes, so he's saying this out loud. Damn, she's really beautiful. Every time I see her, I fall in love all over again. He thought to himself. Well, okay, well. While taking a sip from his beer, Elisa noticed the prince in his stool. He certainly caught her attention as she leaned forward to wipe down the counter. Did I ever tell you that I live in the castle? Preoccupied with cleaning the sopping counter, she hadn't noticed the front of her blouse had become wet. The prince tries best to not take full... Okay, well that's where we're going. Full advantage of the situation. Oh, really? I don't think I've ever mentioned it. So I am to assume you're some kind of nobleman? Full of himself and with a smirk, he placed the glass on the freshly cleaned counter. I am, without a doubt, one of the finest ones you'll meet. She smiled and decided to rest her head on her palms. That's... Okay. That's a weird angle. How is that... He doesn't have a spine. Do you mean you're different than all the other nobles that come into my inn? Wow. You can see everything from this angle, but of course no one could replicate... Family. Wow, you can see everything from this angle. Okay. But of course, no one can replicate family or my noble being. I don't know when they're talking or not. They don't use quotes properly. I've seen many princes come and go through here. However, there's something different about you. The prince suddenly noticed that all the other patrons had vanished by now. So, tell me, what do you think makes you so special? The prince took a breath. Did she really just ask me that? Stalling, he downed the last of his beer. I own the most majestic castle of all of Florence. And what else? She is so close that I can smell her. Her perfume is so sensual. My dude, you came to the tavern thinking you were thirsty, and it turns out you were thirsty. I would love to caress her. Should I try? Perhaps I might. Suddenly, a strange feeling overwhelms him. It's called not being a creep. Oh, I think it's time for you to wake up. What? It's all a dream. You need to wake up. Elisa, once so close that he could have held her in his grasp, had suddenly begun to fade to black. Okay. Such a shame. The beauty in my dreams was always too sweet to savor. The prince woke up in a daze. Oh, just a dream, he thought, bringing a hand to soothe the pain that racked around his head. The prince is a drunkard. My head is killing me. What happened last night? He glanced around the room and found broken bottles and plates, obviously nothing to be proud of. But he was fully dressed. Have I been robbed? He sluggishly murmured. If it had been a burglary, he likely would have been left nude due to the price of his wardrobe. What could I have got myself into? I feel so sick. Again, thinking or saying, it's unclear. With the windows shut and the drapes drawn, the room fell silent, and the prince was able to focus all his attention on his throbbing headache. The only thing I remember is how exhausted I was when I finally went to bed, yet somehow I do not recognize this place. I don't think I'm even the right inn. Ugh. Thinking is not helping. Perhaps I need more rest. It's too early for this. It isn't even noon yet. Why should I have to wake up so early? It's not like I have a job. Oh, I get a choice. Back to bed or investigate. Investigate. New song unlocked. No, I can't go back to sleep. Not with that putrid stench lingering around. How can I sleep knowing something of value that belongs to me is missing? What happened last night? This probably wasn't the best time to go back to bed. The prince really needed to retrace his steps. Okay. The writing here, and I'm a real stickler for this. They're jumping between first and third and second person that it's incredibly difficult to keep track of who is thinking or speaking or talking. So right now, someone is saying the prince, as in someone who is not featured in the scene. Is this me, the character? Is this a narrator we haven't met? Is this the situation speaking? It's very discordant. Maybe I'm worrying too much about it, he said to himself. Okay, so now we're in full narration mode, trying to ignore the pulsing pain in his head. Still, it's probably not a bad idea to take a look around. The room was a pigsty, hazardous even with all the shattered plates and glass. Moreover, some of the chairs were turned over. The fireplace was spouting ashes on the floor, whilst the bed sheets remained scattered across the room. Now, I totally get it when you're describing a scene, but I meant like personal intent of what the person is thinking. That's where I really... First of all, let's open the window. I don't think I can bear the stench without vomiting. He then opened the window and lingered there for a moment to take a deep breath of fresh air while he was reminisced. Fresh air while he was reminisce. That doesn't seem right. Over his dream. I was definitely dreaming about something interesting. What was it though? Boop, 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 boop. The white, wet curtains the prince was leaning on reminded him of the dream he thought he'd forgotten 1 second ago. Of course. Now, remember I was dreaming about Eliza. Oh, got a little crown up there. Of course. Dreaming about Eliza. Now that I think about it, yesterday afternoon, after speaking with the merchant, I wanted to see her. He slowly buttoned his vest as focused his thoughts on reconstructing those recent events. Now I remember. I was arguing with that merchant for the sale of my castle, when at some point we decided to walk towards this inn to conclude our business deal. When everything was settled, we started drinking, and then, ugh, I can't remember anything after that. A worrying feeling of anxiety filled the mind of the young prince. What if that blasted merchant made me sign the deal? In a panic, he started rummaging around to find his clothes, which had been strewn around the room. I can't see any sacks of coins on the nightstand. As drunk as I was, I very well could have gifted my castle away. Searching the room, he began to locate his clothes, sprawled on the dresser, mantle, and other random locations. Somehow his gloves managed to end up in the furthest corner under the bed. Stretching as much as he could, the prince extended his hand and felt something other than his gloves. He was certain he had heard a faint metallic sound. Maybe a coin? It's a sword! What's this? His hope was to find some gold. However, he moved the sheet away. The only thing he managed to see under the shadow of the bed was a silver blade. He sighed. With some precautions, he pulled out what by all accounts was a sword. What's this doing here? He asked himself. Sword? Why would there be a sword in my room? The blade was made entirely of silver. That's worthless. The hilt was covered with brown cloth. It looked more like a decoration than a weapon, yeah. The prince was tense and hesitated. All right. I'll take it with me. If someone was so foolish that they left it behind, that's their loss. He shrugged and smiled. He turned and saw the scabbard leaning on the wall. The state of this room I'm not sure I should walk down to pay. It'll cost me a fortune to compensate for all this damage. I think it'd be better to just leave a few coins and get out quickly. Calmly fastened his belt and sheathed the sword with care to avoid damaging it. Not shown here. Time to go. New item unlocked. Long unlock. Knock, knock. Could it be the waiter? Knock right now. Tidy up here. Did they have to knock right now? I don't even have time to tidy up in here. I really don't need this. Menu. Extra. Story, music, gallery, codex. Oh, you have lots of karma. Oh, you can get all the different opinions. Alright, so they just can... So I have a sword. How they feel of me. He has a sword. Great. Okay. Knock, knock. The knocks to the door became incessant. I know you're in there. Open up the door. Recognizing the merchant's voice, the prince froze. He even stopped breathing to make as little noise as he could. What do I do now? I'm tired of waiting. I've got the papers to sign here with me. Remember the deal we made yesterday afternoon? Wait a second. If he came here to make me sign the documents, it means he wasn't able to get anything out of me. My fears were unfounded. I'm getting ready. Give me a moment to dress. I don't have time for you to Divitate yourself? Open the darn door. Prince was busy fixing up his clothes as well as he could, trying to remember all the details of the deal he agreed to upon the day before. It would have been unforgivable to appear without an inkling of their previous agreement. What kind of impression will I give if he sees all this mess? I'm never going to be able to clean it all up. He said reluctantly, opening the door. I actually thought last evening, why don't you clean up a bit before going to bed? His shame became so unbearable that the prince practically left out of the room. Here I am. Shall we take a seat downstairs? With like some privacy, your room will be perfect for that. What need is there to stay in the room when we can walk downstairs and have a drink? I don't really feel like drinking after last night. Oh, please, let's walk down. I'll offer you a round. No, I'm really not feeling it, honestly. Don't make me beg you. For all I care, you're free to drink all you want afterwards. Please, let's go in. I want to finish this matter quickly. What if I offer you lunch? Fancy a steak or some cake? We can even invite a fine lady to lunch with us. What would you say to this? The hell are you hiding in that room if you've come to the point of offering me a meal? This is so unlike you. Enough excuses, please make way. I'm deadly serious, or rather not come in. He added, and proposing himself between the door and the merchant. Didn't work. Seated in the sudden hostility in the scene, the merchant gave up, insisting, and finally stood out of the sprints. Okay, he turned and walked down the stairs. To the empty inn we started. Once at the bottom of the stairs, they picked a table in a less crowded corner so they could have some quiet. Money bag stack. $sign sack. Before I sign, I'd like to know what happened last night. My mind is clouded and I don't remember much at all. He said, sitting on the stool very patiently. The merchant started explaining the events of last night without omitting a single detail. It's interesting to choose the choices for multiple characters. Last night we came to this inn because the sun was setting, and finally we managed to agree on the last details. But last night you did not coerce me into signing against my will, right? I wish. Last night I squandered a fortune to have him drink. This guy is stingy even while drunk. Who do you think I am? I'm an honorable person of business. Very well. So where are the papers? Let's not waste any more time. Bring them out. Finally, the merchant brought out the written deal, but it was easy to tell that any kind of excitement had disappeared from his face. Certainly did not expect an easy deal. However, this unexpected hurriness of the prince was getting to his nerves. The final deal we agreed on yesterday, I urge you to sign it now so I can leave this hole quickly. I will not have to deal with you ever again. After a quick read, the prince grabbed a pen from his pocket, grabbing a quick and clean signature on the deal. I signed, I'll give you the money. Don't worry about that. Prince saw the merchant about to stow the papers away in his bag and had a sudden doubt. He swiftly grabbed the arm of the merchant, stopping him. Has he noticed? What does this part mean? Are you talking about this small variation? It's only about 50 gold coins, just a tiny detail. How could you dare modify your proposal without telling me? I saw that your castle is in need of some renovations. This calls for additional expenses. Lowering the amount I'm offering for the purchase was the very least I had to do. And you took the liberty of not notifying me? Did you think I would not notice? The sum I deducted is yet another kind concession I made. For your castle, I will need to spend at least double that. It requires extensive renovations. If I did not say that before, it was only to spare you more concerns. This all makes no sense. For you, perhaps? Are you really hoping that I agree to this? I would, yes. You have little choice after all. Confront. Merchant crossed his arms and made himself more comfortable on the stool. He took a look at the prince and as he was reading the contract. He can think about it as much as he wants. I have no wish to give more concessions. Are you kidding me? He asked, now dead serious as he put down the documents. Such business, I always am serious. 50 gold coins are no small 50 gold coins are no small change. I am a merchant. I know the difference between a fair deal and a ripoff. Right. You should feel honored to have such a seller as me. I am part of the nobility, after all. After we seal this deal and after the voice gets around, you'll have many more clients willing to make business with you. Merchant was not convinced by this argument at all. He sneered and replied swiftly. These are empty words. You are a prince. You were once rich. However, you, with your father, squandered away all you had. Do not say one more word for your own sake. Prince looked extremely frustrated. Rage and anxiety showed on his face. The merchant, unfazed, kept talking. You need this money. I cannot see any alternative for you if you do not take this deal now. Trade negotiations is incredibly boring and should not be the major plot point of this entertainment product, or, say, a movie in a 9-part trilogy. The nobility has two defining characteristics, pride and dignity, or prejudice. In front of such blatant humiliation, one of these two failed in the young prince. Blinded by rage, he jumped forward, threw down his stool, and unsheathed his sword. I told you to shut up. Are you deaf? This is not about money anymore. This is your life on the line. Merchant, one moment ago, so relaxed and confident, transformed completely. He stood up, shaking as his face turned white. Immediately after, he raised his hands. Let's keep calm, please. There's no need for this excess. It is just business. I had no intention of showing disrespect. That's what you did. This is business indeed, as you say. Then you certainly do not look like a shrewd businessman. In fact, I'm surprised that you are still alive. The prince neared the end of his sentence, his blade near the neck of the merchant. This scene lasted only a few seconds, but they felt like minutes, or hours even. Merchant, though he was done, thought he was done for, but luck, usually not taking any part in these occasions, sided with him. Waiter, stop, or I'll have to call the guards. A waiter came to the two just at the right time. His intervention effectively diffused the tense situation. Do not meddle in other people's business, boy. Sword very close to the merchant's neck started shaking as a host of bad thoughts and doubts were filling the mind of the prince. Darn, why do you have to intervene now? The satisfaction could cost me my freedom. I cannot make any mistakes. So are we less friendly with them now? No, we're still 0. Okay. Please, you're right. Let's put this away. I'm convinced. I'll give you those 50 gold coin. Sure. Give me the money and then bugger off. Impatient to see the pair system resolved, the merchant placed the money on the table and quickly as he could, and then he hastily gathered up the papers and left. Again, this is the prince saying this. I believe it is time for me to go, he said, disappearing from sight. Boop. Finally had the better of him. He was satisfied with himself and he smiled and begged the money. The merchant had fled so fast he had to close the door. Such a nice sight for the prince who could finally boast a victory against his rival. They're rivals? When did they become rivals? People I'm forced to deal with these days. He even threatened me with a sword for a few coins. Back at the inn. So does that do anything for the codex? Nope, still 0. Okay, this has been Elisa the Innkeeper. Elisa, a character, this is the prologue, I guess. is barely mentioned here, so we're just going to click really quick and see. Oh, look at all those thought bubbles. This prince is kind of a jerk. The merchant is, you know, seems okay. Sure. Oh, he went evil on that one. So now do we have extra codex? -5. Okay. Interesting that you get to choose a choice for all the characters. Makes it feel less reactive if I'm choosing both those things, but all right. Yeah, it did not start out with the bang with this trade negotiation and the setup of like characters that aren't super likable to start. I don't know what I'm looking for visual novels, honestly, at this point, but this one ain't it. Cheers.